Dude's basically in a therapy session, but it is high-key an interrogation. He's trying to play it cool about his dad, saying, "Obviously I love him." But the vibe is super complicated. You can tell he's not telling the whole story, and the tension is already building up. Things escalate fast when his nose starts bleeding, and it turns into a whole interrogation scene. He's getting hung off a building just to find out where this guy named Shroud is hiding. The shift from emotional vulnerability to a life-or-death situation is giving major whiplash, for real. The aesthetic is giving final boss battle as he gears up to face his father's killer. He's in this dark industrial setting, getting his tech ready. The whole sequence is super intense, with dramatic music and a sense of impending doom. This is his main character moment, for sure. The villain's goon starts yapping, trying to get under his skin by disrespecting his dad's memory. He's telling these graphic, messed-up stories about his father's last moments. It is a low blow designed to throw him off his game right before the big confrontation with Shroud. He's in a full-on battle and his suit's shields are failing. The enemy is taunting him, trying to make a deal for the astral pulse. He's doing these complex calculations to divert power, trying to outsmart the villain in real time. The pressure is on, and it is a total tech nerd showdown. After getting absolutely wrecked, Mecha Man is now the subject of a news segment, and not in a good way. They are doing a whole recap of his family's legacy, from Mecha Man Prime to his dad, Astral. It's giving major, "your dad would be so disappointed" energy from the media. He holds a press conference to announce his retirement from superhero work because his suit is busted beyond repair. The reporters are ruthless, grilling him about his failure and how he let his family's legacy down. The whole thing is super painful to watch, a public fall from grace. He tries to stop some low-level goons robbing a store, and when he says, "I'm Mecha Man," they just point at the news and laugh. It is a total reality check moment for him. A corporate hero named Blonde Blazer shows up and helps him out, which is both cool and a little embarrassing for him. She's a total pro, and he's just a guy with a dislocated arm. It is the start of a new, unexpected chapter for him, meeting someone from the official hero world. He's having a drink with Blazer, and she's asking how he afforded the suit. He spills that he burned through his whole inheritance, living on duct tape and vibes. It really puts into perspective how much he sacrificed just to keep the hero gig going. Mad respect for the dedication. A D-list villain named Flambe tries to start a fight with him in a superhero bar, not realizing who he is. It is a cringy confrontation where the villain tries to act tough, but just ends up setting himself on fire. Robert handles it with dry humor, showing he's still got it. Blazer reveals she knows his real name, Robert Robertson III. This leads to him sharing his family's tragic superhero origin story. His grandpa and dad both died in the suit, making it a cursed family tradition. The mood gets serious, and you really feel for the guy. Blazer finally drops the bomb. She is here on official business from the Superhero Dispatch Network. She offers him a deal to become Mecha Man again, but he has to mentor a team of rookie heroes first. It is his one shot to get his legacy back, a total career glow-up. The job interview is basically a simulation where he has to dispatch heroes to different crises. It tests his strategy and decision-making skills. The tutorial is led by a super cheesy hero named Final Gambit, who explains all the corporate hero rules, including benefits and paid time off, which is hilarious. After acing the simulation, he officially gets the job offer. He's going to meet the team at the SDN offices the next day. It is a moment of hope after so much failure, and he finally feels like things might be turning around for him and his little dog, Bud. On his way to the interview, he meets this super awkward guy whose powers make everything wet, literally. The guy is a total mess and recognizes Robert as the dead Mecha Man. The interaction is pure secondhand embarrassment, but also kinda wholesome. A new hero in the making, maybe. First day on the job, and Blazer is like, "Take your clothes off." He has to wear this generic corporate fit to hide his identity. The whole interaction is so awkward, especially after their kinda date night. They are trying to keep it professional, but the vibes are definitely not. He meets Invisigal, a former supervillain who is part of the Phoenix program he's supposed to be leading. She is immediately sarcastic and unimpressed, calling him a washed-up dadbot. The tension between them is instant, setting up a classic rivals-to-friends dynamic, probably. In the bathroom, he meets Royd, a super strong, super chill dude who is also a massive tech genius. Royd is totally starstruck to meet Mecha Man and offers to fix his suit. It is a funny and random encounter that ends up being super important for his future. He bumps into this old dude who turns out to be Trackstar, a hero from his dad's era who used to babysit him. The reunion is wild because Trackstar has aged like 50 times faster due to his powers. It is a heavy moment, seeing a hero's powers literally consume him. Chase gives Robert the rundown on his new team of reformed villains, and it is a wild roster. There is a fraudster who turns into a bat monster, an assassin, a tiny strongman, and more. He calls them a bunch of dangerous losers, setting the bar incredibly low for Robert's new gig. His first time on comms with the new team is pure chaos. They are all yapping over each other, making fun of him, and generally being unmanageable. It is clear this is not going to be an easy gig. This Phoenix program is full of main characters with major attitude problems. The dispatching job is going surprisingly well, despite the team's attitude. However, things get weird when Sonar randomly transforms into his bat monster form. It is a sudden reminder that these are not just quirky heroes, they are genuinely unstable and dangerous, which adds a whole new layer of stress. A mission at a donut shop goes completely sideways. Invisigal, who was sent to investigate, ends up in a standoff with the shop owner, who grabs a weird energy weapon. She disobeys Robert's orders, leading to the client getting seriously injured and the suspect escaping. Total disaster. After the failed mission, Invisigal confronts Robert, and it is brutal. She calls him a nerd playing a video game, and says he's not a real hero because he is not on the front lines. Her words clearly hit a nerve, exposing his biggest insecurities about his new role. Robert decides to change his approach. He tells Blazer and Chase that to lead villains, he needs to act like one. He demands their trust to handle the team his way, with tough love. It is a major turning point as he steps up to take real control. Just as things are getting complicated, Robert meets Blazer's boyfriend, the one and only Final Man. The guy is the ultimate golden boy superhero, making Robert feel even smaller and more insecure. The whole interaction is painfully awkward and perfectly timed to ruin any good vibes he had. Royd shows up at Robert's depressing apartment to pick up the busted Mecha Man suit. The place is a mess, and Royd roasts him for it, calling it serial killer chic. It's a funny scene that highlights just how far Robert has fallen since his hero days. Royd drops a bombshell theory. Robert's dad, a gearhead, could not have created the super-advanced astral pulse. He suggests someone else, a science nerd, must have been the real genius behind it. This plants a seed of doubt about Robert's entire family history and legacy. Robert has to bring his dog, Beef, to work, and Chase instantly becomes the most overprotective dog sitter ever. It is a hilarious and sweet moment that shows a softer side to the grumpy old hero. He literally says he'd let everyone else die before anything happened to the dog. Blazer casually tells Robert that she and Final Man broke up over sushi in Tokyo. Then she drops another bomb. He has to cut someone from the Z team to create a sense of urgency. The corporate hero world is proving to be just as dramatic as the streets. The news that someone is getting cut sends the Z team into a self-sabotage spiral. Coop handcuffs Sonar to a squat rack, and everyone starts trash-talking each other. It is a perfect display of their villainous roots. Teamwork is not in their vocabulary just yet. Robert calls a team meeting to address the cut, and it devolves into chaos until he takes control. He gives this epic phoenix rising from the ashes speech about redemption. It is surprisingly inspirational, and for a moment it seems like he might actually be getting through to them. Just when things seem to be going well, a rumor about Coop rejoining her old criminal crew starts circulating. The team is on edge, and the fragile trust Robert was building starts to crack. The drama is relentless, and it is clear the past is not done with them. Robert finds Invisigal quitting on a playground, convinced she is fated to be a villain. He gives her another pep talk, this time about making your own destiny, referencing Kung Fu Panda. It is a cheesy but heartfelt moment that shows how much he has come to care. Invisigal takes on her nemesis, lightning struck for the third time, but now with Robert's help. He guides her through the fight using his strategic mind to hack systems and give her an advantage. It is their first real moment of teamwork, and they absolutely crush it together. After her big win, Invisigal moves up the leaderboard, leaving Sonar and Coop tied for last place. Blazer forces Robert to make the final call, and he decides to cut Coop. It is a tough decision that feels like it is going to have some serious consequences later on. The episode ends with Coop leaving a threatening souvenir for Robert, a knife stabbed into his desk. The message is clear. She is not happy about being cut. Meanwhile, Blazer is trying to play it cool, but the tension is definitely rising. This is just the beginning of the fallout. The vibe is super off at the office. Someone has pranked Robert by putting a picture of Coop on his monitor, and Punch-Up is clearly still upset about his ex-girlfriend getting fired. Chase warns Robert that cutting one person has poisoned the well for the rest of the team. Blazer is trying on a dress for a fancy gala and needs Robert's help. The moment is incredibly awkward, especially when her nipple is almost out. It is a classic will they, won't they scene, packed with unresolved tension and a little too much talk about hue shifts. Robert has to give a pep talk to a heartbroken Final Man who is moping in the parking lot. The super being is contemplating flying into the sun, and Robert has to talk him down using basic therapy techniques. It is a surreal and hilarious conversation about dealing with breakups. Invisigal finds Robert picking glass out of his chest in the bathroom, and things get weird. She admits she had a dream about them hooking up and is trying to try on the idea. The conversation is interrupted by Waterboy, making the whole situation a perfect storm of awkwardness. A fight breaks out in the break room between Flambe and Waterboy over some thrown-away noodles. It is petty and ridiculous, but Robert has to play mediator. The scene perfectly captures the chaotic, juvenile energy of the Z team when they are not on missions. They are basically a dysfunctional family. Robert has to choose between Phenomammon and Waterboy to fill the open spot on the team. He picks Phenomammon, hoping to give the guy a distraction from his heartbreak. Blazer agrees, and it is official. Her very dramatic, very powerful ex is joining the squad. This cannot go wrong. Phenomammon's introduction to the team is a disaster. He immediately starts talking about how being near Blazer will help his broken heart, and the team just roasts him for it. It is clear that bringing him on board is going to create a whole new level of drama. Phenomammon opens up to Robert about his breakup, revealing his alien genitals were not compatible with Blazer's. The conversation is bizarrely intimate and surprisingly deep, as Robert advises him to find a new passion. The two are slowly forming an unlikely and very weird friendship. Invisigal is watching a rom-com in a movie theater, and Robert decides to join her, buying a massive bucket of popcorn and snacks. It is their first real date, even if they do not call it that. The mood is sweet and surprisingly normal for two people with such chaotic lives. Robert's in the gym getting a reality check from Flambe, who calls him a normie who needs a babysitter. The trash talk is brutal, with Flambe telling him to accept that he does not have it anymore. It is a harsh reminder of his powerless state and the team's lingering disrespect. The team starts a betting pool on which superhero Robert used to be, with Blue Balls Man as the leading guess. The whole thing is a massive inside joke that highlights how little they still know about him. He tries to play it cool, but it's clearly a little frustrating. Chase pulls Robert aside for a serious talk. He is worried about the team's growing conflict with a major crime syndicate called the Red Ring, and asks Robert if he is prepared to kill Shroud if he gets the chance. The question hangs in the air, a heavy foreshadowing of what is to come. A city-wide blackout hits, and the office is thrown into chaos. It is an all-hands-on-deck situation, and Robert has to rally the team to handle the crisis. The sudden emergency amps up the pressure, forcing them to work together in a real, high-stakes scenario for the first time. After a grueling shift, the team decides to go out for drinks, and they actually invite Robert. It is a huge step for them, moving from dysfunctional colleagues to something resembling friends. The mood is celebratory, and it feels like they have finally turned a corner as a unit. At the bar, Robert is feeling the pressure from the team to prove he is not just some hero mark. They do not trust him, and the vibe is tense. Invisigal explains that they will always see him as the enemy until he opens up and shows them who he really is. The night takes a turn when Flambe, still holding a grudge, starts a fight with Robert. The rest of the Z team surprisingly backs Robert up, leading to an all-out brawl against the bar's other patrons. It is a chaotic, messy, but ultimately team-building moment. They are a real crew now. After the fight, Robert finally reveals his secret identity to the team. He is Mecha Man. The reactions are a mix of shock, disbelief, and for Flambe, pure rage. The reveal changes everything, solidifying their trust and officially making him their leader, not just their dispatcher. Following his lead, the rest of the team starts sharing their real names, like Courtney and Victor. It is a surprisingly vulnerable and wholesome moment for a group of ex-villains. They have finally dropped their masks and become a real team, bonded by their shared experiences. The team gathers to watch Robert test out his newly repaired suit. They are all betting on his old identity, and the mood is light-hearted and supportive. It is a massive shift from their early days of distrust, showing how far they have come. They are actually rooting for him. The suit test goes horribly wrong. The prototype power source overloads, causing a massive explosion that knocks Robert unconscious. The celebration turns to panic as the team rushes to save him. It is a devastating setback, proving that his return to being Mecha Man will not be that easy. Robert wakes up in the infirmary to find a heartbroken Royd, who confesses he cannot recreate the astral pulse. The dream of being Mecha Man again is officially dead, at least for now. It is a quiet, somber moment of defeat for both of them, a tough pill to swallow. Chase and Robert have a heart-to-heart, where Chase expresses his deep distrust for Invisigal. He sees her as a black hole who will only drag Robert down. The conversation is tense, revealing a protective, fatherly side to Chase and highlighting the central conflict of Robert's new life. Robert is talking to his dog, Beef, processing everything that has happened. He admits that, for the first time, he can see a life without being Mecha Man. He is finding fulfillment in leading the Z team, but the legacy of his father and Shroud still haunts him. The team throws a surprise housewarming party for Robert to cheer him up. But the real surprise is their discovery. The astral pulse was not destroyed. It is just being passed around the criminal underworld. They have a plan to get it back, and the hunt is officially on. The plan to retrieve the astral pulse sparks a massive argument. Blazer and Chase think it is too reckless, while Invisigal and the team want to go immediately. The fight gets personal, with Chase calling Invisigal a dangerous criminal, which causes her to lash out and storm off. Robert finds Chase after the fight, and they talk about why they became heroes. Chase admits his harshness towards Invisigal comes from a deep-seated belief that some people are just born bad. It is a conversation about fate versus choice, and it clearly leaves Robert with a lot to think about. In a shocking twist, Invisigal goes after the astral pulse alone, ignoring everyone's warnings. She gets herself into a massive firefight on a yacht, and Robert has to guide her through it remotely. It is a reckless, desperate move that puts both of them in extreme danger. Invisigal manages to get the astral pulse, but her past comes back to haunt her. The villain uses her asthmatic triggers against her, leaving her helpless. It is a terrifying, gut-wrenching moment as Robert watches, unable to do anything but listen to her struggle to survive. The vibe is heavy right now, starting with a super emotional flashback to Chase babysitting a young Robert. This moment really grounds their whole dynamic, showing it goes way back. It's not just a hero sidekick thing, it's a legit brotherhood, which makes the present-day drama hit even harder. With Chase laid up in the infirmary, the team is spiraling. There's this huge debate about whether to kick Invisigal off the team for good. It's a total mess, and you can tell everyone is just hurting and looking for someone to blame. The pressure is all on Robert. Despite the internal drama, the hero work doesn't stop. The team has to pull it together to handle random city crises, from beached whales to out-of-control tech. It's a classic case of having to put your personal feelings aside for the greater good, even when it feels totally impossible. The weight of leadership is really starting to show on Robert. He makes the call not to cut Invisigal, framing the team as a weird, messed-up family that sticks together. He argues they should lift people up when they're down, which is a huge moment for his character arc. In a massive plot twist, Invisigal, whose real name is Courtney, drops a bombshell on Robert. She confesses she was the one who planted the bomb on his dad's suit, Mecha Man. She was a villain working for Shroud and did it to get an augment for her bad asthma. Robert's reaction to the confession is completely unexpected. Instead of freaking out, he forgives her on the spot, saying that they've both changed since that night. It's a super sweet and mature take, but Courtney is just feeling numb, almost like she's getting ready to disappear for good. Things escalate when Robert gets captured by Shroud in a villain bar. The whole scene is super tense, with Shroud yapping about control and human nature. He uses Robert's dad's gun to mess with his head, trying to break him down and find out where the astral pulse is. Just when things look their bleakest, Blonde Blazer makes a dramatic entrance to save Robert. She goes full girl boss, facing down a whole bar of villains and bluffing her way into getting Robert out safely. It's a high-stakes power move that shows just how capable she really is. The next episode opens with absolute chaos as Red Ring launches a full-scale attack across the entire city. The SDN is completely overwhelmed, and the Z team is scattered and short-handed. The stakes are immediately raised, and it feels like the beginning of the end for Los Angeles. With the city burning, the remaining members of the Z team have to rally. The energy is frantic as they try to respond to a million different threats at once. Robert steps up, trying to coordinate the defense even though half his team is missing in action. The pressure is on. Just when they need her most, Invisigal makes her return. The reunion is super tense and everyone is mad at her, but they know they need all the help they can get. Robert makes her promise to survive so they can all be mad at her together later, a weirdly wholesome moment. In a moment that's both hilarious and kind of epic, Robert recruits Waterboy, the SDN janitor, to become a superhero. He's the most valuable person in a city on fire, and despite his panic, he steps up. It's a real underdog story in the middle of all the madness. The main villain behind the citywide attack is revealed to be Coop, the hero Robert fired earlier. She's back with a major grudge and a whole army of Red Ring goons. Her betrayal stings, turning the fight from a mission into something deeply personal for the entire Z team. Robert realizes their current strategy is not working. Red Ring is playing them by spreading them thin across the city. He makes a command decision for the team to stay out in the field instead of returning to base, forcing them to adapt and become less predictable to counter their enemy. The situation gets even worse when Red Ring infiltrates their communication systems, leaving the team isolated and vulnerable. It's a classic villain move that cuts them off from support and adds another layer of difficulty to an already impossible situation, forcing them to rely only on each other. Back at the SDN tower, the drama peaks when Chase catches Invisigal near the mech-suits, instantly assuming she's a traitor. The misunderstanding leads to a huge confrontation, with everyone's trust in her shattered once again, right as the building itself comes under direct attack from Red Ring forces. While tied up, Courtney finally explains everything to Robert. She didn't tell him she had the astral pulse because she was trying to protect him from Shroud. It's a moment of truth that clears the air, but they're still in the middle of a war zone with killers closing in. Robert finally gets back into his dad's Mecha Man suit, only to be confronted by Shroud and his crew. Shroud reveals the whole reason he needed the astral pulse was to power his own giant mech. It becomes a massive, city-destroying giant robot battle, which is just so extra. The final battle is an all-out brawl with the entire Z-team fighting against Shroud, Coop, and their forces. It's a chaotic and visually stunning showdown where every member of the team gets their moment to shine, proving how far they've come from the disorganized group they used to be. In the final confrontation, Shroud takes a hostage and demands the astral pulse. He reveals his master plan, including the fact that he planted Invisigal on the team from the start. He's so confident in his ability to predict every outcome, which becomes his ultimate downfall. Robert outsmarts the super genius by being completely unpredictable. He offers Shroud 2 identical devices, admitting he has no clue which is the real astral pulse. It's a gamble based on gut feeling over logic, forcing Shroud to make a guess. It's an iconic, "I'm not smart, I'm just chaotic" move. Shroud picks the wrong device, and it spectacularly backfires, overloading and destroying him. It's a shocking and almost darkly funny end for a villain who thought he had everything figured out. In the end, his obsession with predicting everything made him blind to a simple, chaotic guess. In the aftermath, Invisigal proves her loyalty once and for all by taking a bullet meant for Robert. It's a full-circle moment of redemption that solidifies her place on the team. After all the betrayals and lies, her actions finally speak louder than her past, earning her everyone's respect. With Shroud defeated, the Z-team are hailed as the heroes of the city. They're interviewed on the news, and it's a moment of pure triumph. They went from being a group of rejects and reformed villains to the saviors of Los Angeles, finally getting the recognition they earned. The story wraps up with a party at the SDN Tower. The vibe is chill and celebratory as the team finally gets to relax. Robert and Courtney have a moment, hinting at a future for their relationship. It's a hopeful ending, showing that this weird, messed up family actually made it.